So today I'm replacing all of our lattice, old nasty lattice that we had on this house with shiplap. So what I'm doing is painting 2x4s. I'm gonna be building a door here, and then I'm just gonna run 2x4s. I'm gonna take this angle and hang it underneath and hang a 2x4 down off of that, and then run the shiplap across the 2x4s like that. This is the old part after the initial demo's been done to get the old stuff out of the way. And so while she's painting the shiplap, I'm over here working on the door. So what I did was I painted up, I cut and measured a piece of 2x4 to scab over the wall there. And I went ahead and painted it all 6 sides. And then I put the hinges on it, and I went ahead and screwed this to it just to have an idea so that it would be flush just like the other boards are, because the other boards are going to be mounted right up under here and come down, and the shiplap's going to go across. So in order to mimic the same look, I just went ahead and screwed that on there so we'd have that. And now I'm going to build a frame. Actually, that's wrong, because the frame that I was going to build is going to be, the board's going to be like this, and I need to rethink that. So here's the problem. I had it where the door like that, and this was up under here, but that was not going to be right, because that's not how it should be. It should be closed like this. So I had to take it off and move it and put a level on it and move it under. So now you can see that the front of this, which is where the shiplap is going to be going on all the other boards, is in the same spot. And I'll just end the I'll end the shiplap right here at the hinge so that it has room to open and not bind on anything. And that'll also give some stability to the door that I'm about to build, instead of having the door built on the short side, I build it fastening on the long side. So I got the frame of the door up, and I put the first piece of shiplap on, and I'm going to be using 1 board thickness. In between them is the gap, about a finger's worth probably. It's actually about 5/8. But what I noticed was that first board, it split when I put the first screw in. So in order to keep the rest of them from doing that, put all these together and squoze them up with these all flush, and I'm just going to run a small drill right in the middle and pre-drill a pilot hole here and here all the way through to so it won't split that wood. And then I got a little piece here that I've just cut, and that's the thickness. Like I said, it's about as thick as your finger. It's about 5/8.
So I turned all of these up, and to keep from that happening, which they fell over, I brace it with my hand as I'm spraying it, and I move on down like this.
Like an FBI agent shooting a bad guy.
Absolutely. And then I'm right
with
here.
A flashlight. You gotta have a flashlight.
I gotta figure out now, because I don't want to spray my feet, but this is basically what I'm talking about. But I don't use my feet, I use my hands. So it keeps them together, and you can knock 4 of these boogers out in one time. And when you move, they are going to probably slide and fall, but it's not going to hurt them, because that's the only side it needs to dry. The other sides are dry.
Good job. So while shooting this video, we realized, or while editing this video, we realized that there was an important part that was left out. And that is, you know, when you paint these, you have to, these are the shiplap pieces, 1x4. You have to paint all 6 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Y'all didn't think I could count all the way up to 6, did you? I surprised myself some days. But you have to paint all that stuff. And of course, if you cut it, if you paint the end and then cut it, guess what? Paint it again. So think about that before you paint the ends of everything. If these are boards you're going to be cutting or whatever. But you see what I'm having to deal with. They keep falling over because I can't hold them all. And if I want to paint them, of course I don't want to stand them up on this. And most of the time they're several feet long. This is just a sample. But Misunderstood was showing you how she would hold them with her feet. And then she didn't want to spray her duck boots. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a clamp. And yeah, we're going to end up painting the heck out of this clamp. So what? So it's hard to do one-handed. And I do have a tripod, but I'm going to make this work. Here, I'll tell you what. Hang on. There we go. So you just come down here to the end and just give them a little squeeze. Just a little pinch. They don't have to be super tight, but just enough to hold it straight up so that when you bring your air spray gun, you have plenty of something holding it up, because the other end's going to be sitting up on something like this, and then you'll be spraying this side, and then they'll dry for a few minutes. You take the clamp off, flip them all the way over, and that's why I say two light coats are better than one heavy coat, because that allows you to turn it over quickly and get this side going. And then in just a few minutes, you can turn this side back over and spray this side again without having the paint still be wet and without pulling the paint off. The second coat will take a little bit longer to dry because it is the second coat, and it will tend to re-wet the first coat. So, keep that in mind, because if you don't, when you go and turn it over, you're going to pick some paint off when you flip it over. So from this side. A couple things on this shiplap project. You can see moving right along. Two things. This table, which is a Works, W-O-R-X, has these clamps and built in. They work really well, because what I'm having to do for these are my down boards. They go down and the shiplap goes across them. But in order to get this lined up, easiest way to do it from right here is to just put this in here, set that up, get this in the exact position, and then tighten the clamp down. So now I know that I got it tightened down there. I know that I'm pretty good. I did this by eye, and a couple times when I got done, this was up too far here. So this angle came across there, or a variety of couple different things. So that's what I've got. So love this Works table. It's great. WX05i or 1. Love this thing. It's a great table. You can see I got a lot of stuff on it, and it's got a bench down there, or bench, whatever, shelf, and it works really well. The thing I want to point out is this is a drill. It's got a chuck, got variable clutch right there, and that's just the way it works. If you're driving screws with these and you have an impact driver, you're doing it wrong. Use your impact gun. This is great for drilling holes. This is the best at driving screws. And the reason is it has a clutch. So it can sense how hard it needs to be, how much pressure it needs to be putting. When you run this one, you'll hear it, and that means it's doing its job. It slows down, and it makes driving screws so much easier than using a cordless drill. So if you have an impact, or you got an extra about $80, get one. Get the same one that uses the same batteries as your other tools, and you will thank me. So this is what I'm ending up with. These are my down boards. They're just screwed in, and you can see by the what I was showing you a minute ago, that fits up, jam up tight. And now I'll go mount it.
Busted. I see what you're.
So there's a lot of different ways to do shiplap. The way that we wanted to do it was because there was lattice here, we wanted to paint this and cover it up, but we also didn't want we wanted the shiplap to start like and kind of go like the lattice did. So where it would be on the face of this, but we're not going to put it on the face of this. We're just going to paint this. We're going to sand it and paint it, tap all the nails in, sand it, and then paint it. But so what I did was, I showed you this in earlier, I took one of these, made a down rod, and then I attached the down rod, and this, what I did was I measured all the way across. And in this case, it was exactly 8 feet, which is perfect. It's not really big enough for the deck, but 8 feet is great because the boards are 8 feet. I don't have to cut them. All we have to do is get misunderstood to paint them. And so she did most of the painting, and I did a lot of this work, but she did help. And the part that she helped on is what I'm about to show you. So these have two holes, and I just, what I did was I came up and found the spot in the middle, marked it. You can see there's a mark right here. You can't see it, but I marked this. I came in a few inches on that side, a few inches on this side, and then just marked the middle and said 3 across 8 feet would be enough. So then I put this up and got it flush right here and put a screw in. And don't put it in too tightly, because that way you can come up here without it bending anything and put in the other screw. And at that point you can go snug with it. Sometimes I use a small one if the area was tight. These little L brackets came with screws that were really small, maybe a 1/2 inch, and these are 2-inch screws, exterior screws that I got. So I'm taking these and going on up into these 2x8s to give it a little more support. So now what you have is you have 3 down legs, and this next part is really, really important. So this part is very important. Thanks. After I'm already going. The director says action.
Well, you couldn't do this without me, so.
I did it without you.
No, you did not. You
Well,
just
they
said
won't
in the
know.
video earlier.
I can
have
edit that
witness.
out.
I have 10 million witnesses
I can
that
edit.
I helped you.
Now see, I can edit that.
You better not.
Well,
I have rights, copyrights.
You don't have it yet. What I would do is, in this case, we have one we need to match up to over here on the edge. So I would come up to that one, get it fully flush, and then go ahead and put the screw in. Now remember, we pre-drilled the hole in these are 1x4s, and so they'll split if you get too close to the edge with the screw. So we pre-drilled the holes, but we didn't pre-drill these holes in these boards. But normally what I would do is I would get this exactly where I want it, where it's flush with the one beside it, put a screw in, but not tight. And then I'd get my level and come to the center and get this level. Now, the problem with doing it this time, let me go ahead and snug that in.
Yeah, 'cause I can let go.
So ordinarily what I would do is I would go ahead and put this one in, leave it a little bit out, and then I'd put my level on here if I was starting the project. Let me have control. and I would get it exactly level. And then I would put this one in. And then I'd go on down and put that one in. And then we would come to the next one and we would space that one accordingly by using a little piece of wood, and we use the same piece of wood every time as a spacer. Now the problem with this is this deck actually has sunk a little bit. When we bought the house, it was already like this. So you can see that it's running downhill. You might not be able to tell, but it is running downhill. And I am going to be fixing that. I'm going to be jacking this up. So when this thing is laying like this and I jack it up, I want these boards to be level. So you really can't tell that they're not level because they follow the deck. But on the whole rest of the deck, I put that top board down level. This is the only place that I didn't do it level. So in this case, I just brought it up and got it where I could had a good even gap across the top there in relation to the board on the deck, and just snug it up. And by the way, this is not what I would ordinarily be using to drive screws. This is a drill. It's good for drilling. It is not good for driving screws. Get an impact gun. Makes all the difference in the world. It doesn't strip. When it senses that it's going too fast, it slows down and keeps hammering, keeps turning that, but it does so much better job than this does. Unfortunately, my boss asked if he could borrow mine, and I took it to him into work today without even thinking about the fact that I had to use it for right here. So I'm using my old drill gun, but it'll work. So the next step is to get our little piece of spacer wood.
Here it is.
See it?
Right there.
Oh yeah. Thank
You
you.
need to paint it.
Well, we're done with it after this.
Maybe not.
So the next step is to bring in the next
Well, I
board.
didn't tell you about the other project I wanted you to do.
No hablo español, inglés. And again, this time I'm going to be bringing it level with the board next to it that it meets up to. And ordinarily this is not, I mean, you do that, you line them up, but you still put your spacer in here, which that's exactly right. That's exactly level. So you can see how the spacer's in here, and that's exactly level. And then you can just hold that up and run your drill in. But I got to cheat because I'm already taking this down.
Can we do this one for you?
And then raise it up, go. Oop, broke it.
You do that, and I'll do this.
All right. Hang on, let me get this out
See,
of
this
here.
is so easy. We can do this, ladies. We can do this.
So you put the little spacer in, and then go. You're gonna have to push because it's not gonna start. Whoa, 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 whoa. You're stripping it.
Uh-oh, sorry.
Yeah, leave
I
that
gotta
screw.
get out of the way.
Leave that screw.
Well,
It won't
maybe
keep
not,
going.
ladies.
You can. With the right piece of equipment,
can.
you can. This just
But
strip
we
screws.
pre-drilled this, so we're having to show how it was done, so that's why.
There's a spoon.
Oh, that's good luck.
Oh, really?
Not entirely my fault. Yeah, throw it in my flower garden.
I'd throw it
Good
somewhere. I didn't want to be buried under here.
What are you doing?
I'm
Get to
waiting
work.
on you.
What do you need me for?
I need a board.
Oh, you're not going to finish that one?
I'm going to finish that one with
Oh,
I got to get another screw.
Sorry. Okay.
I got to clean up your mess later.
Falling down on my job here.
Yeah, so we put all this together. We had already put all this together, and we realized we got a lot of video at the beginning of this project and a lot of video at the end of the project, but not actual meat of what the process is.
Not to finish the
So
touch.
we're kind of having to go a little out of order here. To get this so we can show you how this process works.
It's such an easy project to do. It's really easy, and the results are beautiful. It was a weekend project
So
for us.
like this one right here, this piece right here is too low. There's too much wiggle room in here. So I just put this in, lift this up to it, and screw. Pull that out, go to the next one. They go really, once you get the down legs in and you've got things where you kind of want them, they go really, really quickly.
Finish touches.
So that's all you have to do. Now, obviously, I've got to come back and tighten some of this up because they didn't go back in because we had to take them down. So I'll patch that up and fix that, no problem. But the rest of the house, when you look at the rest of the house, you'll see that all that's level, and you can actually see where the deck goes up and back down because there's a support there and the deck does that. But I keep everything else level. And then under the stairs there, I did the same thing. So right here, I just measured from the one board to the back of the step, cut it, put a level on it, got it started in the right spot, and then just screwed it right on up. I did put a down board there. You can see there is a leg there, but on the other side, all I did was figure out, you know, where to put the screw so that it would line up with the stair wood. And I just see how I went lower right here. That's because of the ground. Just because one spot has more boards doesn't mean the other, you have to dig it out just to put a board down there. I just dug it out so that it wouldn't be touching the ground all the way across. So that's it. We went from what you saw, the ugly, moldy, green, falling apart lattice, which there's nothing wrong with lattice, but I wanted to dress it up a little bit. So we did this project. Cost us about 300 bucks in wood and maybe another 100 bucks in screws and hardware, but well worth it. And then of course there was the paint, and I got to buy a paint sprayer, which I highly recommend. Love this paint sprayer. You can see in the videos, I didn't get a lot of video of misunderstood painting, but I did get some pictures, and some with Gomer and some with Hershey. And so I'm putting those throughout the video, or I did put those throughout the video. But we just set up with sawhorses and tarps and sprayed them, because you have to spray all 6 sides, and sometimes you have to spray them twice. Kind of porous wood, but this was a good exterior heavy paint. So we did pretty good with that, but most of the time we would prefer to go with 2 light coats instead of 1 heavy coat. That dries better and does better.
The gate.
Another part of this puzzle is having access to your under your porch. So what I did was I came from the far side that way and just came over a full board 8 feet, and then came over another board 8 feet, and that stopped right here. Well, then I had another section here. I don't remember exactly how wide it was, but I decided that I would make an opening to be able to get up under here and store planning materials and tools and things like that. So all I did there was I put a board here, a down board here, and then I had to put in a solid board back here, like a 6x6, I think, or maybe it was a 4x6. So back in here, I put a 4x6. There's a down board in front of it. So there's a down board at the same point this is, and then there's a 4x6 back behind it for me to screw to give me the stability to put a door on it. Then I had to come, and this obviously needs painting, but the door sagged really bad. So I had to come and figure the angle out here, and I'm gonna be putting that in a video on the other door that I made, which wasn't sagging quite as bad as this one. This one was hitting a little bit, so I had to shave a little off, but I'm gonna sand that down and paint it up, and you'll never even see it. This board held it up. This thing would sag. When you would close it, it would sag about one whole board down. The top of this would be about right here. It was really bad. So it took a little work with my son yesterday. We got this board cut and put in here and screwed in tight. And next thing to do is put a latch here and fix the other door and put a latch on it. And that'll be the end of the project.